Commissioners Court is now in session, Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, 9 a.m. Commissioner Bullock, would you introduce our pastor report?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome for Tuesday. Today we've got Calvin Cossey from Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church to lead us in invocation.
In your precinct.
Yes, sir.
Shall we pray? Father, we thank you again for our coming together. We ask that you would just continuously be up on the judge and all the commissioners, and not only the judge and commissioners, but their families as well in this entire building. We ask that the decisions that are made in this building and in this court would be pleasing in your sight, and be for the betterment of Washington County and the citizens of Washington County. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that you would just bless each auxiliary that's in this commissioner's court within this county for the benefit of all the citizens. And we thank you that you have decided, oh Heavenly Father, to put your hands upon each and every one of us, that we can do your will, your way. In the name of Christ Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Good morning, Mr. Prasad.
Good morning.
This thing up. Item number 3. Discuss and possibly act upon a proclamation proclaiming September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Washington County. Our proclamation. Whereas childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease of children ages 1 to 19 years in the U.S., and the second leading cause of death exceeded only by accidents. And every year, over 17,000 young children will be diagnosed with cancer, and 1,960 will die of the disease in the U.S. And survival rates for childhood cancers vary widely depending upon the type of cancer, and can range from less than 1% to over 90%. And on average, clinical trials for children begin 6.5 years after adult trials. And most current standard treatment for pediatric cancer were approved before 1990 and half before the mid-1980s. And due to the toxicity of treatments, 2 out of every 3 survivors will still develop at least one chronic health condition, including musculoskeletal problems and second cancers. And 60% of childhood cancer survivors experience severe or life-threatening complications in adulthood. And all children deserve the chance to dream, discover, and realize their full potential, even when fighting dreaded disease. Now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of Washington County, Texas does hereby proclaim September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Washington County, and joins the nation in renewing its commitment to curing childhood cancer.
I make a motion to approve the proclamation proclaiming September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Washington County.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And Ms. Whaley, are you going to be the spokesman for us this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are y'all? And thank you so much. I know we do this every year in September, and we need to. This is a disease that, unfortunately, like many cancers that we all have hit our families, hasn't gone away. This year alone, and the fact, really in the last 3 months, we had 4 diagnoses in Washington County. We had 5, including one that was in Grimes County. Thankfully, the one that was in Grimes County, Grimes County, they had, it was just a tumor mass. It didn't end up being cancerous, so that was a wonderful answered prayer. We have one student that was in the Burton School District that was recently diagnosed and is in care, along with another one that has been in care. So we have a couple of babies here in the Washington County area. So we are here to serve those families, and it's important for Adams Angels to be here and to keep the childhood cancer in our minds so that we can be aware of the families that are impacted in our local community. And thankfully, our community supports our efforts amazingly. I mean, we could not do it without the strength of our community. And not only do we impact Washington County, but 4 counties that surround us, that touch us, we support those as well. Also, we just got through doing a summer surprise party. Our group went down to Houston, and after the storm, they redid the event, and we were able to bring wonderful gifts. They did a summer surprise. These children are currently in treatment, and we were able to bring items from our resources that we were able to purchase and bring some joy to those kids and have a party. So I want to thank the community for that. As I said, we do have some recent diagnoses. We have those that are staying in our care. Once they mature at 18, they don't leave our care. We still have some, they've gone on. We have a teacher that's currently serving in Belleville. We have students that are in college right now. And we recently did a scholarship for the surviving siblings of those in at Blinn College. So we're excited to offer that this year. So we just want to thank you, commissioners and judge, for acknowledging this is September, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and thank you for the support that you give us, that our community gives us, so that we can be the hands and feet of Christ and go out and reach these families and bring them care, comfort, financial support, whatever their needs are. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for what you do.
I think in a time when chronic illness for all of us is on the rise, it's interesting to note that there are people out there that are willing to take their time to make the lives of those who are suffering from these chronic illnesses better. I can't imagine how rewarding it is when you get to go see those young people smile. Because at a time when they are at their lowest, to see them smile has got to be rewarding. So it's really a great opportunity to get to hear what you guys do and to draw awareness to it to our community. So thank you for the efforts and all of the work that you guys do. It's amazing that it's not only touching our community, it's touching 4 other counties around us, and that I find as so phenomenal. So I know it's grown so much since you guys started this, and I've been here a while, so I appreciate all of that. So thank you so much.
So I want to say to all the Adams Angels participants, this is a wonderful thing that y'all do, and it's showing results, and that's very rewarding to this court. So thank you so much for what y'all do.
And to not sound redundant, both of them did a very good job of explaining what y'all do, and we thank y'all from the bottom of our heart. Washington County is very, very fortunate and lucky to have an organization such as y'all's and all of the other wonderful philanthropic organizations that support our community. So thank you.
Any other discussion? Again, thanks a lot. We appreciate you being here this morning, too. Item number 4, discuss and possibly act upon awarding a bid for full-color LED outdoor monument sign and cabinet cover at the Washington County Expo.
All right, good morning, Judge and
Williams.
Commissioners. I apologize for the mouthful of a description. So this is to replace and recover the pedestal and sign that is on the corner of Old Independence and Bluebell. We received bids from 7 different vendors and 13 different bids altogether, ranging from folks coming anywhere from Ohio to Texas. I'm going to recommend that we proceed with Brightengale on the 6mm spacing of the LEDs. It'll give us the best quality, and they submitted the most complete bid packet that met all of our requirements, along with the technical requirements as received by our IT director.
I make a motion to award the bid for the full-color LED outdoor monument sign and cabinet cover of the Washington County Expo to Brightengale for the 6mm LED spacing sign.
I'll second.
Sorry.
That's 6 millimeter.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of pending Washington County Expo rental regulations contracts. This morning we have one of those. It's for Quinceanera.
I make a motion to approve the pending Washington County rental and regulation contracts and give the county judge the authority to sign them.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6, discuss and possibly act upon a subdivision variance request for a land division fronting Sandstone Road, 71.88 acres, located in the James Miller Survey A-0085, Tract 22 in Precinct 4. Mr. Stokes.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Yes, we do have a subdivision variance request along Sandstone Road. The parent tract is 71.88 acres. They want to break off a 2-acre tract along Sandstone. They do meet the frontage requirements at 400 foot, and there is no floodplain in place. The parent tract in itself today is undeveloped. Really, they meet every other requirement we have for this one, and we do recommend approval of this subdivision variance request.
I'm making a motion to approve the subdivision variance request for a land division fronting Sandstone Road, 71.88 acres, located in the James Miller Survey A-0085, Tract 22, Precinct 4.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, discuss and possibly act upon a subdivision variance request for land division fronting Honewall School Road and Highway 290, 5.8 acres, located in the John M. Burton Survey A-0020, Tract 53, Precinct 4.
Yes, this is the second subdivision variance request that we're looking at today. The parent tract is 5.8 acres, which fronts Highway 290 as well as Hornwally School Road. They are proposing a split that would provide a 2.3 acre tract as well as a 3.5 acre tract for the 5.8. There is development on this site. There's an existing residential. We have looked at the septic field notes as well as their original permit. It is fully contained within the 2.3 acre tract that is being proposed, as well as it does meet all setback requirements for said septic. Everything else in place, they meet all frontage requirements, and we do recommend approval of this variance request.
I make a motion to approve the subdivision variance request for land division fronting Holywell School Road, Highway 290, 5.8 acres, located in John M. Burton Survey A-0020, Tract 53, Precinct 4.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and possibly act upon the acceptance and addition to the county road system Timber Bridge Lane, .520, and Timber Cove Lane, 0.102 miles, located in the Timber Bridge subdivision in Precinct 2.
Yes, this is the Timber Bridge subdivision in Chapel Hill. And what we have here is we've been working with them for construction. They did finalize their chip seal a couple months ago. One of the last items we had on our field inspection was there was some erosion that had taken place and a little bit of sedimentation in the ditches from the storms earlier in the year. They have gone and regraded all those ditches. They've put erosion control mats in place. They do have still some filter fabric fences in there with our recommendation, just given the fact that whenever you do clean those out, if there is another storm, we want to kind of minimize any future erosion. They are applying hydromulch and They meet all requirements of the subdivision requirements, and we do recommend approval of, that would be Timber Cove as well as Timber Bridge Lane.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the acceptance in addition to the county road system Timber Bridge Lane, .520, and Timber Cove Lane, .102 miles located in the Timber Bridge subdivision precinct 2.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
And the only thing I wanted to mention is that obviously we've got a ton of subdivisions that, you know, are coming online, and so I just kind of want to use this again to remind you that we need to be factoring this into the maintenance so that we're not doing what was done decades ago where that wasn't necessarily being factored into where the budget needs to head
Correct.
overall.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, I would say 21 and 22 had a surplus of new subdivisions especially. Things I think have kind of tapered a little bit with the interest rates that have kind of hit.
right.
So yeah, we are seeing a lot of the past projects, given the 2-year period most take place in, coming to their fruition. So.
Right.
Yeah, this one's very rapidly being built out, though.
Yeah.
They are
Yes, I
really-
believe there's currently maybe 5 or 6 that are currently built out in this one, which I think there's like 15 total in there. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're getting it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of an agreement between Washington County and Brandon Industrial Group for Brandon Industrial Group to provide administrative services for October 2024 scrap tire collection event.
Yes, so we've been working with Brandon Industrial Group for years regarding the tire cleanup on this one. Given we've been working with them coordinating this year's proposal for cleanup, one of the things that they came to us with this year is that they would like to get some reimbursement for the administration fees. Essentially, everyone coming through, coordinating with this, making sure there's no duplication with anyone coming in, essentially enforcing our regulations regarding drop-off of tires. With that said, they are requesting a $5 per resident drop-off for those administration fees. With past year, that would equate to 287 was in 2022, which is our last cleanup. We have averaged from 2018 to 2022, which are counted to be 350. We are estimating a total of $1,750 for this new amendment. Given if it was to be on par with what we had last year, it would be $1,435. We do believe this is a conservative estimate, just given the fact that there was 434 residents dropping off in 2018, there was 374 in 2020, and it was actually a dropout to 287. I think, to be honest with you, a lot of it just comes down to people have slowly started to deteriorate the amount of tires that had accumulated in the past years over time, and I think there's just less and less tires out there, which of course was the goal of the county, was to try and get all these random
But not
tires
necessarily
picked up.
less being thrown in the ditch.
So actually, the beautiful thing about that, I was curious if we wanted to bring that up or not.
That is a cheap
I do
way
want to
get
give a real prop to the residents out there in Old Washington, as well as the sheriff's department, because they did end up catching
Cracking
someone that
down on
is being looked at for those drop-offs. But we did clean up all those tires, which amounted to about 200 some odd tires with those. So it hasn't happened again, which is, we're kind of having our fingers crossed that that's the end of it. But anyways, no, with this one, as we've kind of talked about before, TCEQ has dropped a little bit with their grants in past years. They have ended their grant program, which of course, whenever we go into 2026 budgeting, I think that's just something we need to look at in terms of total estimated cost again. This is within our budget as we anticipate for this year. And once again, I think we are going to be a little bit conservative, but you never truly know how many people are going to come in. With this proposal here, we have given them a list. And the whole reason being is, look, if someone's going to come in and drop off, 20 different tires from the same different location and get $5 from the county every single time, that's something that we need to have a little bit of a backup on. We want to have a list of every single person, what their address is, to essentially remove any possibility of duplication coming in.
Right.
We don't want to leave this as an open-ended, essentially, check that we could write. So
Right.
we do have a little bit of fail-safe in that on top of that. So with that said, that's kind of what we have on this one. And
So this is not part of the grant that we get from the COG for these
So-
cleanups?
this is from TCEQ So this is the TCEQ grant. Now, with that one, they have actually ended that. They've been kind of tapering it off in previous years regarding tire cleanups, but they have actually kind of pulled off those.
Okay.
Now, that was distributed, I believe, through Brazos Valley Council of Governments,
Yes, it was.
if I
Yes,
was
it
not,
was.
if I'm
Yes,
correct.
Yeah.
It's the same thing then.
Yes, I believe it came from TCEQ, was distributed from BB Cog,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
ended.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
It's just being, okay.
Just me handling.
I make a motion to approve the agreement between Washington County and Brandon Industry Group for Brandon Industrial Group to provide administrative services for the October 2024 scrap tire collection event.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of a drainage and construction easement between Washington County and Sajelski Country Property Trust for a drainage project along Wonder Hill Road, Precinct 2.
Yes, this project is in relation to the 2021 AFAs, in which case we entered into with TxDOT. We have 3 years after construction of the bridge, which was essentially TxDOT's portion of this agreement between ourselves and them, to complete our portion. This is our EMP associated with the Roberts Road Bridge that was constructed last year. That essentially means that we have until 2026 to complete the project. That said, there has been additional erosion, which is really what this project boils down to. I think 2016 was the initial hit in this particular area at Stern Road and Wonder Hill. It slowly just crept further and further with more storms that have taken place. We are looking to start bringing material to this area, the riprap, additional soil, so we can actually have those ready to go whenever we start construction on this in the near future. And we have been working with the landowner in terms of where we could stockpile, which would be within this easement, which would be approximately 50 by 140 foot at the intersection of Stern and Wonder Hill. They have already signed off on the agreement. They are good to go with it. But really all this boils down to is it just allows us to come on the property and prevent the erosion from building further back into Wonder Hill Road, which at this point is in our ditch.
I'm just glad to see it finally come around.
It's
'cause
coming here.
You can imagine some of the residents on Wonder Hill have been very anxious since this discussion started in 2021. So, and I believe the county attorneys has already reviewed and approved this, correct?
This is the
Renee?
standard drainage and construction easement that we have for across the board.
We
It's been looked
probably
at.
haven't looked over it, because it's a standard contract.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see,
Okay.
where am I?
Number 10.
I make a motion to approve the drainage and construction easement between Washington County and Sajelski Country Property Trust for a drainage project along Wonder Hill Road, Precinct 2.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very
Judge,
much.
I got one more thing.
Yes, sir.
So back to the tire thing.
Mhm.
I just want to make it be known that this is a residential tire cleanup.
Yes.
I think that
Yeah.
needs to be mentioned, and the media needs to hear that. It's not for commercial.
Correct.
It's not a-
Yeah.
We don't want.
The local tire
we
shop
We
can't
want
bring
that to
their
be
tires down
known.
there.
It's in our documents, but I don't think we mentioned that.
No, may I elaborate?
Yeah.
Yes, it is in our ads. It does state that there's, I believe, 8 per residential, 8 per residential property. So
Is the
ultimately,
max.
if more people come from an address, look, you're still capped at 8, right? So there is limitations to what we have on this, but you are exactly correct. This is limited to residential drop-off only.
Just don't want any confusion.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Item number 11, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the order of election for the November 5th, 2024 general election as recommended by the Texas Secretary of State. Ms. Jackson?
Good morning, Commissioners
Morning.
Court and Judge. I'm going to read what I have written down about this so that I can get it correct. So on August 19th, the county judge signed the order of election for the November general election for county offices. The order has been posted on the bulletin board, the elections office, and the elections website. On August 20th, the elections division of the Secretary of State sent out a mass email noting that the November general election is ordered by the governor. However, the commissioners court should also complete a local order to ensure that all required actions related to the election have been completed. And now, this is a recommendation of the Elections Division of the Secretary of State. The order for Commissioners Court is in front of you for you to sign. I had to revise it, the order, because it's made just for the judge to sign. So I had to add spots for the commissioners to sign as well. And I have copies which the judge has signed if you would like a copy, and I also have the judge's order, the governor's order, if you'd like to see that.
Okay.
So we're asking you to order that election.
I make a motion to approve the order of election for the November 5th, 2024 general election as recommended by the Texas Secretary of State.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the list of appointments for election judges and alternates, Central County Station Manager, Tabulation Supervisor, and Tabulation Assistants.
And that would be me also. So the list of presiding and alternate judges is up before you. I'll just read. I, Carol Jackson, the Elections Administrator of Washington County, do hereby submit the following persons for appointment as presiding judge and alternate judge for elections conducted by the county as required upon receipt of timely lists submitted by the appropriate political party chairs, or as recommended by me, if no, but lists were submitted by the party chairs in a timely manner. So all you have to do is accept this list as appointees.
I make a motion to approve the list of appointees of election judges and alternate Central Counting Station Manager, Tabulation Supervisor, and Tabulation Assistant.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the order of appointment for election judges, alternates, Central County Station Manager, Tabulation Supervisor, and Tabulation Assistants for a 2-year term according to the Texas State Secretary of State, Section 32.008 of the Texas Election Code.
That sounds like a lot. All right, so now we see that you guys have, the Commissioners Court has accepted that list. Now we're going to appoint those people, election judges, alternate, and a manager. So the order of appointments are done on a 2-year basis versus a 1-year term, which is optional for some counties. The appointments are effective starting September 1st, 2024, and ending August 31st, 2026, as required by the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State has prescribed the order of appointments for me, for us, for the state, the counties to use. So you have that in front of you, and hold on a second. If you guys would somebody would just read the Commissioners Court accepting the appointment, and that's at the top of that order.
The
Right.
Commissioners Court.
That's right.
Order of
The
appointment.
Commissioners
Yeah.
Court of Washington County do hereby appoint the following election judges and alternate judges for a 2-year term to begin September 1, 2024 for county elections held September 1, 2024 through August 31st, 2026.
All right, and if you just scroll down a little bit, Miss Carly, you'll see.
It was
Oh,
above it.
y'all didn't add, okay.
It was above it.
It needed to be added,
Okay,
but that's
now I'll read
fine.
the rest of this.
Okay.
And that's seeing the list inserted. It is hereby directed that this order be filed with the clerk of this court, and that a copy be given to the custodian of the election records for said county. The county clerk, elections administrator, is hereby instructed to send notice of appointment to each election judge of their appointment for a 2-year term beginning September 1, 2024, as stated above.
I make a motion to approve the order of appointments for election judges, alternates, Central Counting Station Manager, Tabulation Supervisor, and Tabulation Assistants for a 2-year term according to the Texas Secretary of State, Section 32.008 of the Texas Election Code.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, Ms. Jackson, would you like to give your annual monthly report as well?
Yes, sir, I would. I must say that I was wondering how I was gonna get that done with the list and then the appointees. So that's my first time doing it, so I'm glad it went well. My voter registration monthly report, it's also the elections report. I added a little bit about elections on the bottom. But we basically process, Janet and I process voter registration, applications, return voter certificates, death abstracts, cancellation, and all documents received over the counter and walk-ins and by mail. We also process felony abstracts and over 75 exemptions, non-resident summons received by the district clerk, and the return summons list consisted of registered voters who are either no longer a resident of Washington County or has moved within the county but did not submit a change of address. We also process abstracts of death certificates and abstract of application for probate action received by the county from the county clerk's office. We process all tasks listed on the team, that's the Texas Elections Administrators Management Dashboard, as the Secretary of State requires. Printed and mailed letters or voter certificates, process DPS application, possible duplicate voters, possible felons, possible deceased records online, process in-state, cross-state voters as provided by the Secretary of State, processed applications to receive a ballot by mail request, and voter cancellations. The reason that that's some of those are listed more than once is because we get applications from different places. We don't just get applications from one spot. We get them from the Secretary of State. We get them from county clerk, district clerk, from other counties as well. So I just wanted y'all to see the whole picture and not just like, why is she mentioning that twice? And then after the applications or correspondence is already is processed, then we scan those into our VISTA system so that we'll have that record. We no longer are required to keep the paper record, even though we do store those for another 2 years after they've been processed. But we do scan all of the records into our VISTA system to make sure that we have all of the correspondence from each voter. All other documents received electronically, processed using the team application, are synced or scanned into the VISTA system, which is what I just explained to you. All right, and then for elections, we continue to work on any changes or improvements to ensure safe and secure elections as required by the Secretary of State to the best of our ability. Reading and studying the Texas Election Code, the Administrative Code, and the Government Code, they all coincide sometimes. Sometimes we can look at the Election Code and we can make we think that we know what we're talking about, and then you go over to the Administrative Code and it adds something or takes something away. So we're always trying to get those together so that we make sure that we're doing the right thing. And as well, we do call the Secretary of State when we do have questions to make sure that we're on the right track. As you know, with elections, it's so much and so many changes, you can't always just know. You have to do your research. Interpreting the law is amazing. And we ordered more equipment and more accessible voting booths. So for the November election, you will be seeing some new equipment that we have set up that will make voting more accessible and will take up less room in the annex so that everybody's comfortable, voters are happy when they come in. We never have a problem with them being unhappy, but you know. But that's my voter registration report. Now, if you turn to the spreadsheet that I put in there, what did I do? I did this just a little bit differently. I just feel like, you know, sometimes you get used to seeing the same old thing to where sometimes you want to do something a little bit different. So I did my voter registration report just a tad bit differently. We still have how many voters are in commissioner precinct, per precinct, but then I added the household. And it's a list that is actually pulled from the team. And when you see household, that means that all of the voters registered at a certain address within that particular precinct. So if you see like precinct 101, it shows that 670 households. That means that some people are registered at the same address, and there's about 670 households with those different addresses that match. I don't know if I explained that quite right. But, and then also their ages. If you look, they're 18 years old, then 19 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and 60 to 64 and 65 and older. It just basically giving you guys an inside look at how many people are registered and where they're registered at. A collective, I'm not sure. And then if you look at no age, that means that these are people that were there's only 3, because we've cleaned up. It used to be we had a lot of people at one time that had the birthday 01/01/1940. Then we had 01/01/1900. And so we've cleaned up that list to show that there's only 3 that are still there. But those people are in suspense. And we mailed them out some correspondence for them to respond. However, there was no family member that responded. There was not a response for them.
That goes back decades too.
Yeah.
Way before Carol and I, the dates were in there.
Yeah. So the last time I sent correspondence, I actually put the last 3 people in suspense, and now they will be purged this year, at the end of this year, because this would have been, November will be the second general election, a federal election that they've gone through. So they will clean that up. And we basically, Janet and we try to keep that voter registration rolls as clean as possible. There's going to be times that we may not get any correspondence from anywhere, family or anytime, but anytime we have that and we mail them some correspondence, is returned back to us, then we mail them we put them in suspense. Okay. Any questions?
I like the way you did this report.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work, but anyway, thank you for doing
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I like the breakdown.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
All right. And thank you guys for putting me up a little higher.
You're welcome. Okay. Item number 14, discussing possible act upon the approval of Sheriff's Office monthly report.
I didn't see anybody here
I
for
don't see anybody here. Any questions or comments about the Sheriff's report?
that. Do we have
They
a
had
donation?
They had a
Yes,
donation.
we do. We have a donation. I just want to make sure.
I make a motion to approve the Sheriff's Office monthly report.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, presentation of the Washington County Information Technology Quarterly Report.
Judge,
How are you,
Commissioners,
sir?
good morning. I'm well, sir, thank you. On the bottom left corner on page 2 of 24 shows the current project breakdown. Ultimately, we've got, we added 3 new projects and we completed 2 since the last report. The complete project list is in Appendix A. So on the next page, you'll see the project list comparison. Please note, the biggest thing to recognize is between the years, we actually close out all of the completed projects and the canceled ones for previous years, and that's why sometimes the numbers, when you're comparing them, look a little bit different. Also, please note, if you'll see on the November 23rd report, the total was 58 projects. This report, we've got a total of 42 projects. We actually have about 6 projects that we're ready to put in flight, so I suspect our total project volume will increase and it'll be comparable year over year. Okay. On the next page shows the two projects that were completed. One of them was system status board computers. Ultimately, what this is it's display computers at different EMS sites, and we'll be rolling out the same concept to all the different sites. It's so that when people are walking down the hallways, they can take a quick glance at these status boards. Are basically TVs that have a screenshot, or active real-time screenshot of information where the ambulances are, those types of things. Conceptually, we'll probably be doing that maybe in some other areas as well. It's very common to kind of have an environment where you can, you see some real-time information, but you kind of, as you're walking by, it'll kind of, in your mind, if you're an operator, it'll give you some indication, and if there's a concern, then you can go ahead and kind of follow up on
Where
it.
did you say those monitors are going to be put?
They'll be at all the EMS
At the
stations.
stations.
Some of them
But
exist.
where at in there?
Well, on the smaller stations, it's going to be where the TV is. We'll actually use that TV,
Oh.
and you'll be able to flip.
So there's a
because-
monitor there already?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're televisions
Yes,
ultimately. so,
monitors.
right.
TVs
Will
are
be
monitors
used.
these days.
Yep. Project 202, you'll see a listing of all of these servers. We've got servers that have end-of-life operating systems, and we've been rolling up and upgrading them as well. And we currently have about 4 different versions of the Windows Server operating system on our Windows Server, so we're trying to get everything customized and consistent throughout. On the next page, 5 of 24, this shows the incidents. Please notice that the total volume of incidents is less this report than it was in the previous report. A lot of our incidents come in from the devices. They actually let us know, hey, there's an issue. We currently have about 275 phones, and right after I collected this information, the phones actually had to do a firmware upgrade, so we just got hit with about 800 incidents that came in and everything. The reason we have the devices let us know automatically is if there's a need to follow up on something, that it allows us to recognize, go back to the telephone system, look and make sure all the phones are reconnected, these types of things. On the next page, which is requests, similar report, we're typically tracking anywhere from 60 to 80 requests per month, and you'll see that the closure rate has actually gone down, and we expect that to be maintained. Again, just to put in comparison, incident is a break fix for a production device. The request is request for a new service, new software, new telephone, new computer, that type of thing. That is not considered a project. Project typically is something that's over 10 man hours to complete and usually requires 2 or more people. Okay. On the next page, page 7 of 24, this shows the survey results. We're actually going to be pushing on another survey. We want to get into an op-tempo where we're doing it every 6 to 8 months and everything. So another survey will be coming out in the next month. And so on our next quarterly report, we'll show you the results of that survey. Okay. And this is actually a graphic representation of that. Please note response rate, and we've seen it go down. So we're trying to find some creative ways to improve the responses and everything. Unfortunately, our current trouble ticketing system has the ability to require a survey when a ticket's closed, but we notice even though it requires it doesn't necessarily happen. So we actually have to publish a survey, and we keep it open for about 2 weeks. So we're going to be, hopefully on the next survey, we'll look for a way to entice people to actually complete the survey. It's one of those things, the average time was, for the last one, was about just over a minute. So, and typically when we send emails out reminding people to take the survey, which we send the first one out, and then over the 2 week period, probably about 3 to 4 more. So hopefully we'll.
And we
get
all get that survey.
Everybody that has an email address in the county, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got a question.
Mhm.
Satisfaction with timeliness of resolution is
Yep.
at 81.4%.
Correct.
You have conversations with your team about this and what, and so can you kind of explain to me, after this survey, do y'all have like an after action meeting to discuss these items?
So you may remember on the last report, it actually showed any of the comments, and we identified what actions were taken on the comments. The short answer is yes, there's an after-action review
Yeah.
on all of them. However, we actually have stand-ups, daily stand-ups, where we talk about the current tickets that are open. I expect this, one of the failures on my part is expectation setting, okay? In our world, we call them SLAs, or service level agreements, and that basically says, you're asking me to put a new computer in. I need to tell you that it's gonna take 48 hours, for example, to put that computer in. That would be the service level agreement. Very often, our customers, even though we publish it on the internet site, that we don't drive them constantly to go there, so they have an expectation that may be inappropriate, unrealistic, or not known on their part, and so it's like, wow, it took too long to get this completed. Most of the timeliness, the responses that we got on the service for the timeliness of resolution, we didn't get any specifics.
Right.
So-
Well, and they also have to understand where their request falls within the priority. Is it, you know?
It's hard if you're an end user.
Service down issue?
Sure, yeah.
Then, yeah, that's gonna have a higher priority, but if it's just a want.
That's really it. That's more on our part to make
Yeah.
sure that that customer understands that, hey, look, you know, we're trying to get to your request or to fix your incident. We can't do it because we currently have a situation. And so
Right.
we're probably not communicating that as well. But most of the time, what I found is we're well within our, you may recall the mean time to repair.
Yeah.
We're well within the KPI of that. So it's probably more us not communicating that expectation, and then also the customer not necessarily knowing if we're gonna be late, that we're gonna be late and why.
That's the reason I asked the question, is because of the mean time to repair.
Mhm.
So, I guess what you're not under the understanding is that in America, my problem is the most important one, right? So whoever is calling you, their problem is worse than anyone else's.
Sure.
Okay.
So if you're saying that I don't understand that, I understand it.
I'm just saying.
Right.
No, and I think to a certain degree, IT and the job requirements of what y'all have to deal with on a daily basis, I think for the average Joe, they don't fully understand that. So, I mean, I don't know if at any point in time, some sort of, you know, education can be provided, because, you know, I've heard people say, oh, they just sit behind their computers all day.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
that's the job. So I think that there can be a disconnect, especially since technology and I would go as far to say, as it relates to Washington County, you know, from the time that you've been here, that you started in about this time in September of 2019, we have added an extraordinary amount of service and capabilities that requires a lot more management and daily tasks. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think a lot of times, I don't think it's intentional. It's just for a lack of fully understanding what the job is.
But we also did add people, and to that extent. So, but I will say this, is that I don't agree with the fact that y'all sit behind your screens, because I see y'all
Well, no, I've
everywhere.
heard that.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
said.
I see y'all a lot,
They're in this building.
roaming around.
This building right here a lot.
I think at the end of the day, you're right. But people's perception is their reality.
Right.
Trying to educate people on that perception has mixed results. So I think the best way to do it is to try to make sure, like I said, set the expectation, make sure the customer is aware of the expectation, and then if we're not able to meet the expectation, then be able to communicate it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Okay.
all right, on the next page. I've changed this a little bit, a couple things. Carly, can you scroll down just a smidge? Up a little. Let's get the whole thing on there. There we go. So you'll notice that we have several more sites. If you're looking at the building column, you'll notice, for example, the Cannery Kitchen. It says FM, that's Faith Mission in parentheses. So we've increased the number of sites, you know, substantially because we have resources that we're managing and monitoring at those sites. Recognize, please, that obviously as we increase the sites, as we increase the customers, as we increase the services, that we're, you know, spreading our resources to a wider, you know, coverage area. Please also notice on the uptime column, instead of just using the colors, we've actually put the uptime. So basically, we track all downtime at all sites for all services, and so those are the uptime for the last 3 months. And our target is 99.9. We call that 3 nines. And please note, the only one we were not able to achieve that on was the MS3. I'll explain it here on the next page. But ultimately, we're doing a good job. We still have single points of failure, and the only way, what does that mean? That means some sites, many of these remote sites literally have one connection.
Right.
If that connection goes down, the services are down. And it's a catch-22 because it's like, hey, we spend this amount of money on all of our connections and all of those, some of them are internet connections as well.
Right.
In order to get that redundancy, it typically doubles the cost, and then you have infrastructure, more infrastructure they have to put in place. What does it mean? It means there's a cost to benefit, and how much downtime do you get at that site, how much is acceptable, and how much are we willing to spend to increase that from 99.9% to 100%.
Right.
And so it's a constant trade-off that we always have to take into effect. Next page, please. So please note that we've been, every report we're adding more accounts that we're responsible for, and when I say we, I mean technology. So as a result of the last budget sessions, we've actually consolidated. It's my understanding right now, if we're not at 100% centralized IT spend, we're very, very close. There may be a few little pieces, but I've been working very closely with the auditor. Sean has been great about providing the information, making sure that any outliers have actually been brought in. And so what that is 0105 is the IT department. So this includes all of the IT department accounts. It includes all technology services accounts, which is 4,000, and then it's a roll-up of the copier rentals and overage, which currently are in 22 disparate accounts. Next year, they'll be rolled up into one account. And then communications, and for all intents and purposes, this is Verizon, FirstNet. These are all our cellular services and everything. And again, those are spread across, I believe, 23 accounts now. For next year, for 2025, they'll be in a single communications account, which will also include the cost for our telephone services as well. But currently, all of that, we have about 30% of the budget available. This time of year, that's about right. That's what we can expend. We typically slow purchasing down toward the end of the year because we have made major purchases and we're rolling out the projects that those purchases support. So I would tell you that I believe we'll be able to make the budget this year.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean we're going to come under budget. All right. Carly, next page, please. So staffing, we're at 100% staffing, of course, been there since we brought Donnie Schwartz on. He has far exceeded any expectations I could have ever had. We brought a young man on board who had some basic skills and he had a desire, and he has just constantly and continually surprised me in a positive way. He's learned so much. I've given him tasks just to see if he'd take these tasks on, and he's done a great job, and he's solved problems, some of which we weren't even aware that we had, and he's low maintenance, he's very quiet, in a positive way. He just gets the job done, and he constantly works hard. And I mean, I love it because it reminds me of what I've seen with younger IT folks. He has something he's looking at, playing with, thinking it might be a positive thing to bring to the organization. He'll go home, he'll set it up in his test lab, play with it, and then he'll bring it back, set it up. And he's such a kind of a quiet individual that I'll be like, Donnie, what is this? Oh yeah, I set that up. It's like, oh, that's great. And so he takes that initiative. It's very exciting to see. And I'm always asking him, are you happy? Or what do you think? Oh yeah, this is a great job. It's like, so, and
That's
he's
good,
just,
'cause that's
he
an
was a
employee
wonderful
we
hire.
want to keep.
Yep,
So.
absolutely. I think he's going to have a long tenure here with the organization, so that's a positive thing. He's about 85% trained. The systems and network administrators, please recognize both Mark and Sean are new to the role within the year. So, they were at 100% training when they were in a previous position. Now in these positions, they're both about 75% trained. We have kind of held off a little bit on some of the formal internal training that we've been doing because we've been focusing a lot of attention on the new software implementations that we're going to be bringing on in 2025. And most people don't realize, but there's a lot of background information, a lot of research, a lot of coordination. There's a lot of work that goes into this. So my focus over the course of the next 3 months between now and the next report is to actually refocus on some of that training that has been sitting in queue. Service outages, 5/16, May 16th, there was a weather event, and that weather event affected the hangar, and it affected the JP4 office in Burton. This weather event brought down internet circuits. They went up and down several times, and you'll see total outages 20 minutes, but the reality of the situation is from 5:36 to 6:40 at the hangar, for example, it's up and down all over the place, and so it's a little bit challenging. Unfortunately, that's a single point of failure. We're currently in the process of trying to get a second circuit out there, and Sean tells me he's very close to getting that resolved, so hopefully that'll happen shortly. On the next page, on 5/26, we actually had an outage, and that outage, it was a outage of the internet service provider, that's SockNet. We have fiber in Burton, but they actually, they have a fiber network node, and that node went down, and it took both of those sites down. And so, I'm sorry, I did want to, can you scroll up just a smidge? There we go. On 5/16, you'll notice 18 hours, 52 minutes for the EMS3 station in Burton. There's several things that happened. Because of the weather event, they lost power. Power was out. When the power came back, the wind had actually taken the fiber connection down, and so that fiber connection snapped, and so we had to coordinate with ZocNet after the power came back to the facility to come out and actually fix it, and they fixed it within about a 4-hour period, so that's pretty reasonable. And then it actually, once it was fixed, a couple weeks later, it actually fell down and was riding over the road, and we found out how hardened the cable was because it had been driven over about 100 times, so. All right, and then go ahead, scroll down for me, please. Next page. Yeah, so you'll see on 5/31, same type of thing. We had some issues with that that circuit. Nextlink is pretty good. That's the internet service provider out at the hangar. They're pretty good about allowing us to. We usually get with a person within 20 to 30 minutes. We start working with them, and if there's issues, they're pretty good about resolving. But sometimes it takes a couple of attempts and everything. So that is my report.
Thank you. Good report.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Item number 16, presentation of the following monthly reports. County Clerk, Ms. Rothwell.
Okay, if you'll go to the charts. We did have more funds that we took in the month of July, but I'd also like to point out that is the one month of the year that we just have 1 week of court, because the court does take some time.
Summer recess.
Summer, yes. But we did have a little bit more intake of funds, going to the official public records. We had almost 600 of those filed. That's been a little bit more than last year, the 2023. Plats filed, we only had 5 filed, so only 22 for the year, which is considerably less than we had at this time last year. Criminal cases, again, because of our downtime with the court system, we only had 18 filed. We had 44 judgments. And so you can see that that is less than 2023 for criminal cases filed, but about the same for disposed from last year and the year before. Civil cases, we only had 4 filed. We've got considerably less civil cases filed than we did previous years, which is interesting.
Is there anything driving that? Does it
Ain't
have
got no money to
anything-
fight about.
Not
Yeah.
really, I mean.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Our threshold went up to 250,000, went up 50,000, so, we do still have quite a few civil cases sitting there on condemnation of pipeline easements,
Mm-hmm.
and those are from a couple of years ago, so
Okay.
would sure like to hold a lot of money on those.
Yeah.
So clean those up.
Civil cases, let's see, we got that. Guardianship cases, we had none filed in the month of July.
See that?
That's very unusual. We
That
always
is very
have one or
unusual.
two at least. But we are having more and more families contest probate cases. We are seeing a lot more of that than we ever have. I thought about that one day, that
That's where the money is.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That ties into your comment.
cases that go on and on and on. But we maintain about 274 active guardianship cases. Probate cases, we had 7 filed in the month of July, and that's less than last year, but about the same as 2022. Births recorded, we had 31 recorded in the month of July, and you can see that's kind of a little bit of an upswing,
Yep.
but pretty consistent from the previous few years. We sold 202 birth certificates out of the office for the month of July, so that's more than we have. We recorded only 17 deaths in the county. Now, it doesn't mean people that live here didn't, perhaps they passed away in a College Station hospital or something
Mhm.
like that, so. And just as a reminder, each death that happens in the county, we have to send an abstract of death to the voter registrar of this county, or if they live, say, in
In a
LaGrange
different
or
county.
something, we have to, file it over there as well. Or if they lived in another state, we figure out where to send it to. We also have to report all probate cases to the Secretary of State. So they're getting that information from multiple sources to keep the, lists clean. So less deaths recorded, that should be July. And then death certificates sold, we only sold 12 death certificates. Marriage licenses, 16, so that's down a little bit. And, but it's.
It's more than last year.
It's
from
more
what you-
than last year, so,
Yeah.
right.
Cumulatively.
Online, per medium requests were up a little bit at 16, I think, and then fraud registrations were up as well. So it would encourage everybody to, sign up for the fraud alert.
I'm signed up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I had a call yesterday, I hesitate whether to say it, but a lady who was she was pretty calm considering, but she'd had a note put on her door that in 3 days, the locks were gonna be changed because the property was deemed not habited, and this came from some mortgage company, not her mortgage company. So,
And it had, it was.
All we need is a credit card
You
number
know,
to get this
yeah.
thing straightened out, right?
So I encouraged her that she had already talked to the sheriff's department about it. I encouraged her to sign up for the fraud alert. She did not know about that.
Mhm.
So she was going to encourage her neighbors to do that, but, it's somehow, somebody got on a list somewhere or something, and her mortgage company assured her it did not come from them, that she was fine with them, so
Wow.
there are some things out there that are happening.
And the fraud alert is free, sign up.
It is free.
Jeez,
yeah,
anybody
it's-
doesn't do that.
It's free.
There's
and
probably
it-
a certain amount of notifications that we probably should send through mailer when you look at our demographic, because, I mean, we've got a lot of folks that still want to receive mail that,
It all costs money.
what'd you say?
It all costs money. I think, I agree though, fraud alert is something that everyone should sign up. I'm signed up. They come after me.
Okay,
Thank you for that report.
anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, district clerk's report. I see anything there we want to discuss, or anything going on? No discussion on the district clerk's report? Justice of the Peace report. Discussion about the Justice of the Peace report? Auditor report. Ms. Hollis? Good morning.
The percent remaining to collect or expend should be about 42%. The general fund has 43% remaining to collect, and road and bridge 55%, but again, we'll be receiving that October, November, and December, most of it. Expenses, the general fund 34% remaining to expend, and road and bridge 47%. Total sales tax collected for July, 353,408. So that is down from last year, but it's trending on, it always goes down this time of year.
Yeah.
So,
It just took a bigger nosedive.
it's about 11% decrease. ARPA funds, total spent 4 million, allocated to projects 3.5, and then about 400,000 in interest earned so far. And that's about all I have. Quick.
Does the interest on that have to be,
No.
okay,
No.
I wanted to verify because I didn't think it did.
It does not, there's no requirements on it.
Yeah. Just
Anything you
wanted
want
to-
to do, go to the general fund.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions, comments about the auditor's report?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Gascam?
Yes,
Tax
I
Assessor
have
Collector's
a
report.
correction to my report. My totals were not correct.
I've got one. This is number right here. Let's see what they did. They slid them right across.
Good morning.
46,
Good morning.
So, there's, this is the correct.
In the first of the week of the month, we did have quite a bit more activity than we did the rest of the month. It was about the same the first week of July. The second week of the July was up there, but then the third week and fourth week were down. And then the 29th through August 2nd was higher. So we did 3,524 registrations for the month of July. We did 718 titles. We processed 79 mail-in transactions and 123 permanent placards, handicap placards. We also collected $2,170 in TABC for the county's portion. And most of the TABC is up to date. Don't have any questions?
Questions, comments?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank y'all.
Okay, treasury report. Mr. Kramer?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to point out that we have done it. We have gone over the $1 million mark in investment interest for the year. I'm excited about that, yes. And we still have 5 more months to add to it. Yeah. I am having to move some money back. It seems like everybody keeps wanting to get paid, so we keep having to cover payroll and stuff every 2 weeks. I know, doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, bills keep coming and payroll keeps going, so until we get, I'll start having more again once the taxes and stuff start coming in, but we're still sitting very, very pretty with our investments. We're just a dollar or two short of 37 million at this point, but again, that's because I've had to move some funds around.
Okay.
But everything's good, it all balances.
Very good. Okay, constable's report? Comments about the constable's report? Okay, veterans report. I think Mr. Purcell had to leave. Had an appointment, so his report is good as always.
So it's just accounts payable.
Okay, item number 17, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of accounts payable.
Okay. I come with a bigger number this week. We are paying a total of $709,299.08. The biggest part of that is for the vehicles, the 4 of the 5 that we are paying for the sheriff's office. There was the second payment for the Expo for their cooling system. And of course, the monthly bill for EMS is in there, so that's,
Question,
Yeah.
why is it not the 5 vehicles?
because they haven't gotten the 5th one yet.
The 5th one's not here yet.
Mm-mm, no. As of yesterday, they still had not gotten it, so there will be
Okay.
another payment for that whenever it
Okay. yeah.
is born. Yes.
You're not gonna talk about the donkey?
Sir,
The donkey?
the donkey.
Yeah, the $80 donkey?
Oh. You'll have to tell me about that. What was, did we,
Yeah, the $80 donkey we had to pay for.
I think that might have had something to do with the sheriff's escrow account.
Yeah, they had to pay the
Yeah,
donkey.
Yeah.
apparently, yeah. What can I say?
Sound like a
Diversity,
topic
you know, we tell you how it is.
conversation.
I make a motion to approve accounts payable.
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Item number 18,
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
motion been made and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, we are adjourned.